Okay, in this next video, we're going to learn about defining variables. And VBA supports a lot of different variable types. In this class, we're just going to focus on three different kinds. String is we'll be using for text. Double is a numeric field that allows decimals, and long is a numeric type that only includes integers or whole numbers. The reason why you define variables is there's two different major reasons. One is to make the program more efficient, so you only want to use up as much space as you need to execute your code. And if you have a lot of data, it makes a big difference in how quickly the response time is if you're using variables instead of leaving everything as undefined. Another reason is clarity in the coding. Typically, in a professional setting, the convention is that you define your variables at the top of the program, and then the next person who's editing it can see what the names of the variables and the types are, and they can be looking for those throughout the code. A lot of different languages require you to define the variables. VBA is one of the few programming languages that allows you to just simply define a variable in the code on the fly. So it's still a good practice to define variables wherever is possible. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to pull up the workbook that we've been using, and I'm going to start a new worksheet. I'll call it Video 5. Oops, got my caps lock on. Video 5. Define variables. And to demonstrate the different types of variables that we might have, I'm going to use a coin as an example. Value of coin, number in pocket, and total value. So we're going to have a series of inputs here that use all three different types. So a coin, we're going to have a person name a coin, dime, nickel, quarter. We're going to have them specify the value of that coin. So a quarter would be 0.25. And then the number that you have in your pocket. So how many of those do you have in your pocket? And then the total value will compute. And then we'll write the results as we go along to cells B1 through B4. So let's go ahead and get started in the code. I'm going to start a sub called Video 5. And now in order to define my variables, you use the keyword dim. So I'm going to type dim, stands for dimension. I'm not sure why that's used, but I'm going to dim coin as a string. So the names of coins, nickels, quarters, dimes, etc. are text, so I'm going to define that as a string. And then I'm going to dim coin value as double. So since those have decimals after them, and I'm going to dim number in pocket as long. So those are whole numbers. You can't have a decimal number of coins in your pocket. You're either going to have 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. And then I'll dim total value also as double. So let's collect these via input boxes. So I'm going to set coin equal to an input box. and I'll say, please name a coin. We could automatically assign the coin value if we wanted using if statements, but we'll allow the user to specify the value of the coin. And I forgot my closed parentheses. Notice that your text turns red if you have an error, and sometimes you get a pop-up box showing that you have an error. And this time I'm going to demonstrate our concatenation again. So how many, and then I'm going to concatenate whatever coin they entered. I'm going to put an S in at the end, so dime, quarter, half dollar, whatever it is, penny, although it's going to be off because of the punctuation of penny, it would be off, but I'm just going to assume they're going to put dime, nickel, or quarter, and put an S at the end of it. And then we'll put a message box for our result. And I'll concatenate the total value. But first we have to set the total value. So there is no total value. If I were to run this, I'm missing the total value, so that would just be 0. So I need to make a computation first, so I move my cursor to the left of message box, and now I'm going to have one more equation. So total value is equal to coin value times number in pocket. So if they have 5 quarters, the total value would be 0.25 times 5, $1.25, and the message box would show the total value. So let's go ahead and run this. I'm going to put a, whoops, I want to insert a button for video 5. So when I run it, it's all going to be message box and input boxes. Later on, we'll modify it to put the results in column B. So I'm going to name a coin. I'll go with quarter. How much is that coin worth in decimals? 0.25. How many quarters do you have in your pocket? I'll put 5. And it says those coins are worth $1.25. We could run it again. Dimes are worth 10 cents. How many dimes do I have in my pocket? 33. Those coins are worth 3.3. We don't have the output formatted as a currency or anything, so it's just going to put the raw decimal value, 3.3. Okay, so let's go ahead and modify this to put the results in column B, B1 through B4. So I'm going to go back into my code. And these we could do, we have to assign the value first. So range A2 is going to be equal to coin. And I'm going to copy that line of code, and then I'm going to paste it below. Range B2 is equal to coin value. Paste again. Range C2. Let me see, am I doing this right? I'm sorry, it's supposed to be B1 through B4. So B1 is equal to coin. B2 is equal to coin value. B3 is equal to number in pocket. And B4 is equal to total value. So let me run it again. This time I'll do nickel. It's worth 5 cents, 0.05. Let's say I've got 11 in my pocket, and it says it's worth 55 cents. And I misspelled nickel in the input box, but you can see it shows the values there. Okay, so I'm going to save my file.